Thank you. Tim, I have no idea where we are. When I get past 287, I'm sort of lost here. What time are we now? That's what they tell me. Okay, so thank you all for coming here. As you know, we're also simulcasting this on YouTube. And I want to extend why don't we all extend a welcome to those people that are watching on YouTube. Hello, so you say hello. Nice, thank you for being here. So you ought to come out and spend some time with us, so instead of staying there behind your phone watching it on YouTube. Anyways, thank you. So what I want to do is get everybody warmed up with our patented, is this patented? Is trademark? Trademark, the audience participation part of the BRI, and that's the salad spinner of destiny. A lot of you, when you walked in here, you put your business card into the, anybody did not put their business card in here? Anybody? Okay, you want to? You got a minute, 30 seconds. I've got Jeff Stillman. Also, while you're doing that, I have a ticket. If anybody wants a second drink. And anybody want it? Going once. Going twice. He wants it. There he is. He's now puts his big cigar in. He gets a second drink. Just okay. All right. Ready? Here we go. Spinning this thing. I know you're all so excited about this. I can tell, right? Somebody stops eating. Okay, first card gets by Tim. Trick. And who is? Oh, it's Alana Chipatelli. Alana. Alana. That wasn't rigged. Oh, yeah. 60 seconds, Alana, and I'm timing this.
I only take 5 seconds. So I'm Alana Chipatelli. I am your chair of the Apartment Advisory Council. And many of you may not know, I'm also an associate broker with Sotheby's in Bronxville. So for any of your residential needs, because really I have too much time on my hands to do all my work here, and that is here. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you. Not too bad. Okay, now for the second one. Boy, you guys ready? Ready. Tim. He closes his eyes. There we have. From Sun Blue Energy, my man, Chris Happ. Well, the reason I said my man is because Chris is from Rochester, New York, just like me. There aren't a lot of us, right? We stick together. Chris, okay, that was completely a surprise, right? I did. Oh, yeah. Let's put 10 cards in you.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi, Chris Hale with Sun Blue Energy. We design and install solar energy systems for homes, businesses, schools, government, municipalities, and been in business 17 years. We're based in Sleepy Hollow and just joined BRI. We're excited to be here. Thank you.
Let's pick the last one. It's kind of funny. You notice that we both lost our Rochester accents.
What accent? What accent?
It's thick. And the name is
Lauren Kroll.
Lauren. Yes, of course.
Hi, everybody. Lauren Kroll of Sustainable Westchester. We support residents and property owners and managers that are looking for opportunities to reduce upfront costs and get some technical assistance with their energy-related projects. So we support with everything ranging from insulation and building envelope improvements to heating and cooling upgrades to solar and charging. So if you have any questions, reach out to us. We offer free guidance and support because we're a nonprofit. And yeah, I'm glad to be here tonight. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Lauren. Now, for the rest of you, if you're sitting at a table and you're not sure who that person is and what they do, I'll give you 15 seconds. Go ahead. You can tell that tell the person at your table what you do. You can do your little speech there.
Stay there. For 1 year.
Okay. Now, as I mentioned, I'm the president of the. I think we have some past presidents in the room here. Any past presidents, please raise your hand. I'll be with past presidents over here. We got several past presidents here. Let's get those guys.
Big one to the.
Feel your pain, guys. I feel your pain.
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay. So we launched the BRI Ambassador Program, and the BRI ambassadors are instrumental in ensuring that new members maximize their use of the BRI's extensive benefits. By guiding new members through their resources and programs, ambassadors will empower them to fully engage with everything the BRI has to offer. Plus, they will give them a friendly face to look forward to seeing at a BRI event just like this. Do we have any ambassadors here tonight? Andy, would you like to stand up, please, so people can see who the ambassadors are? Uh, if you're new to the BRI and you'd like to learn more about that, just find those people. They'll be able to tell you more about the BRI. So thank you very much for your service. Anybody who wants to be an ambassador, you can talk to Anika, who's right over here. So we'd like to have more ambassadors in the BRI. Now, sorry. All right, so there's something on yes, I have a script here because we won't spring for the teleprompter. Okay, so there is many of you attended the BRI 80th anniversary back in May, and what a great event that was. And so we're doing something in the fall, which I'm not sure what it is. You're gonna have to stay tuned, look at your inbox, because I'm sure you'll get at least one email, if not more, about what's happening in the fall to celebrate the 8th anniversary of the BRI. Okay, before I see, I'd like to thank. Okay, yeah. You know, as we practice this, right? I'm so sorry about this. Okay. Oh my gosh, that's it. Oh, okay, there are. Sorry, there are 80th anniversary videos on YouTube, if you didn't know there. So, Anika, is it easy to find these?
Absolutely.
Okay. To their computers.
BRI's past, BRI's present, and BRI's future.
And BRI's future.
And past. Yep, there's 3 videos. Exactly.
Videos that we made about the BRI. All right, enough of me. I'm going to turn it over to the executive director of the BRI, Tim Foley.
Thank you so much, and let's give it up one more time for our president, Michael Murphy. He's generous with his time, he is generous with his talents, and tonight he's generous with his drink ticket. So how about that? We want to start the evening, as always, thanking our sponsors. We could not do this without you. If you happen to be in the room, please give us a wave. Thank you to Approved Oil. Thank you to Cullen and Dykeman LLP. In the back there, thank you, Dork Nelson and Zouderer LLP at the exact same table. Thank you, Montana Wood Care Corps. Is Sonia here? Not yet, okay. Thank you, Pella Windows and Doors. You guys are right there in the back. Thank you, Zarin and Steinmetz. I don't think they are here. But again, thank you to all of our sponsors. Big round of applause. At your table, there is a lot of paper because we want you to go with jam-packed with information, and we want you to be able to retain it. Well, one piece of paper you did not bring home with you. That is the post-program survey. That is not for you, that is for us. We take these very seriously. Quite a number of the programs that we'll do throughout the course of the year are suggestions that come to us through those surveys. Also, you know, we actually started doing events here at Hotel MTK because someone suggested that on one of those surveys. And lo and behold, we're all here tonight. So again, we take that very seriously. Please take a moment before you leave, fill it out, leave it at your place, or hand it to your BRI staff. Summertime is when our program winds down. We've gone from 5 programs in 4 weeks in the month of March to 1 program so far, 1.5 in July. And that will be our supplier service providers and subcontractors lunch. That will be on July 15th. That is a free one. We will specifically be talking about what insurance do you need when, with a special focus on small businesses. And then once we get back into the fall, we are back at full steam ahead with a full suite of programs, including, of course, our golf outing on October 7th. Go to www.buildingsinstitute.org/events to stay up to date and invite your coworkers, your clients, your prospective clients, random people who you bumped into in the Metro North or at Trader Joe's. If they're involved in real estate, they don't know about the BRI, they really ought to. For our advocacy, for our education, for our networking, and for the members that make us what we are. So please pass it on. Lastly, before we get to our program, as always, we are in the heat of an election season. Seems to happen every year because it does happen every year. And so we are once again asking folks to consider what they can contribute to the Stars and Stripes PAC. Here to talk about the value of that is BRI past president, current president of the Building and Allied Construction Industries of Westchester, Eric Abraham. Eric, come on up.
Thanks, Tim. Hey, we're on a little bit of a roll. This year has been the best year I can remember as far as wins on advocacy for builders and for building industry. And it didn't happen by accident. It happens with hard work, a lot of pressing the flesh, playing the game. And we make contributions to all of the people that are in power, and they're working with us right now. But we need your help so that we can do even better things next year. It's a big election cycle right now. Yeah, anything you got would really help. It's $50, $100, 365, which is $1 a day, goes a long way. And Tim has really worked hard to take our limited resources and really spread our influence out there. So please think about it. We really need your help. Contribute to the PAC.
Thank you, Eric. And if you are so motivated, there are two ways you can do so. The easiest of which is to find our Government Affairs Director, Jason Hilliard, and he'll give you the information on that. The slightly less easy, there is a QR code somewhere in this room for Stars and Stripes PAC. I'm not going to tell you where it is, just to whet your appetite and get your curiosity going. But suffice to say, if you find the QR code, what do you win? You win the benefit of contributing money to the Stars and Stripes PAC, which technically you can have at any time. But just to make it interesting, it is somewhere in the room. All right, I'll let you mull on that. On to tonight's program. So, and I would like now to ask the presenters to come up to the front table so we can get started. So Westchester County, our partnership with the county government is as good as it has ever been. Those of you who were able to attend the 80th anniversary know that our keynote speaker was the county executive himself. Those of you who have already gone to YouTube and found these videos celebrating our 80th anniversary know that the chair of infrastructure and housing, legislator Shanae Williams, was in one of those videos. We continue to work extremely well, and tonight is going to be yet another brick in that road of building the relationship between us and many of the very intriguing services that are provided these days by the county. Westchester County has considerable resources devoted to promoting the development of affordable housing, supporting infrastructure and economic development, promoting responsible contractors and remodelers, while protecting the public from unscrupulous and unreliable man-in-a-van operators, and administering state programs and state mandates, including the recently enacted lead rental registry affecting tenants and properties owners in some of these zip codes here in Westchester. We're going to go through 3 presentations from our 3 distinguished members of the panel. I'm going to introduce them one by one. When they're done with their presentation, we'll take 1 or 2 quick questions for clarity before moving on, but don't worry, there will be ample time at the end for a more robust Q&A. So we are going to start first with the planning department. And here to guide us through that is Blanca Lopez, who is the Commissioner of Planning for Westchester County. She previously served as Assistant Director of Operations for Westchester. In that role, she was responsible for oversight of all county housing-related programs. She oversaw the recommendations and implementations of policies from the Police Reform Task Force across all county departments, and she worked with the Probation Department on Raise the Age implementation. She joined the Latimer administration in 2018, serving as advisor on fair and affordable housing and liaison to various county departments, such as Corrections, Emergency Services, the Human Rights Commission, and the Office for People with Disabilities. Her prior experiences before working for the county include working in the not-for-profit sector as program director for Human Development Services of Westchester, a program funded by New York State to preserve affordable housing. I do not think it is any accident that someone with such deep experience understanding what it takes to build housing and to continue to operate housing, particularly affordable housing, has been such a tremendous resource for many of our members within the county. So please give a warm welcome to Commissioner Lopez.
Thank you so much, Tim, Mike, the BRI members, for inviting me to tonight's general meeting and for making it a Westchester County theme night. And to have my colleagues as fellow presenters. For those of you that do not know, Jim and I are actually on the same floor. We're on the fourth floor of the main county office building, White Plains, but we hardly see each other because we're so busy. So it's really nice to spend extra quality time on a Thursday evening with my friend Jim Mazana. So I wanted to talk to you about the various programs that we have from county government, but administered specifically by my department with respect to affordable housing development, whether it's the creation of new units or the preservation of current affordable housing stock. Just to give you a little background, the county is probably one of maybe 2 or 3 counties from all of New York State. There are about 62 counties that actually dedicate funding in their capital budget for affordable housing development. This has been going on for a very long time. I would say from 1988 when the new Holmes Land Acquisition Fund was developed, and then 1992 for the Housing Implementation Fund. I'll talk a little bit about it in a second when I get to it in my presentation. But it's really important to get the message out, right? That there's always been a dedicated funding for these types of activities. Now, mind you, that in 2008, that funding source or that funding amount actually increased because traditionally it was only $5 million, at most $7-10 million. But under former county executive George Latimer, and even until now, the current county executive Ken Jenkins, the amount of money that is being dedicated to these 2 funds is now $25 million a year. So you see that while they talk a lot about the creation and their support for affordable housing, they also put the money in to make sure that that comes to fruition. So this all came about in terms of investing for more funding, right, for the development. Obviously, we all know it's no surprise that there is a housing crisis. There's not enough housing being created at all, market rate or affordable, and the demand is huge. And in 2019, the county produced an affordable housing needs report. This was the first report in maybe a decade. There had been others in prior to that, but this report actually focused not only on the need to build new housing, but the need to preserve current affordable housing stock. And in addition to providing findings with respect to housing stock, right? Like 80% of the overall housing in the county was built before 1980. So we have very old housing stock. So what do we do to address it, right? So there were a lot of recommendations that came out of this report. You can find this report in our website. So in 2019, based on the various factors you see on this chart, we saw that the need for new affordable housing was 11,703. And what do we mean by affordable housing? So for Westchester County, that means housing that is produced for households at 80% of AMI or below. So it's for a family of 4, let's say it's about 125,000, give or take. And it's also in terms of what is affordable. So for a household, generally speaking, you shouldn't be paying more than 30% of your gross income towards housing and housing related costs. So generally that is the definition that we use. In 2022, and we did this report with our friends from Pattern for Progress, which helped us a lot in developing this material. In 2022, we decided to do a snapshot. It wasn't necessarily an update to the housing report. It was more of a point in time where are we in terms of need. To no surprise, the need has increased to over 16,000 housing units of new housing that needs to be built. So what have we done since then? going back to 2018, one of the things that I was tasked to do as the Fair and Affordable Housing Advisor for then County Executive Latimer was to really keep track of well, how many units are we creating with all the money that we're investing, right? And it wasn't just through the funding that we provide through the two traditional funds, NHLA and HIF, but also with respect to IDA benefits, right? So developers that come in applying for IDA benefits, well, how many affordable housing units are we also producing through that, through those incentives? Or how about when we use our home funds, we receive funding from HUD for smaller scale affordable housing developments. How many units do we produce from that? And other various programs that we've had over the years from different types of grants and initiatives that we've created. So every month we keep track, and actually this information will be available to the public. We're working with IT to put together a data dashboard on this, so it's more transparent, so people can know where are we building affordable housing. And also it's in conjunction, it works nicely with our Home Seeker program, which is a platform that is also, you can also find through our website for people to find affordable housing opportunities, whether it's through rentals or home ownership as well. So we want to make sure we are providing information in the back end, but also on the front end. So here you see the pipeline. This is as of April 30th of this year. There's total approximately about 7,000 units in the construction pipeline, of which more than 2,700 have already been built and occupied. And then you see the various numbers pertaining to the different levels of phases in terms of construction and approval process. Every type of funding that we invest for developments have to be approved by the Board of Legislators. And of course, those are internal approvals that need to occur. All right, so I talked a bit about New Homes Land, and I'm sorry, Tim, if you want to tell me how much time I have, I just want to make sure. Okay. New Homes Land and Housing, and those are two traditional funds that we have. As I mentioned before, we've had them for several decades now. New Homes Land, essentially, we work with developers. For these two programs, developers have to apply for funding, obviously. And for New Homes Land, we work with developers based on an appraisal. We are able to purchase the land or the property so that it can then it can be conveyed to the developer for $1 for the purpose of building affordable housing units, whether it's and obviously it's appraised, right? Depending on how many units, if it's 100% affordable or if it's a percentage of those units will be affordable. We can find more specific information about this fund, but essentially it can be used for new or adaptive reuse of a office building, a school, a church into housing, or for preservation of current affordable housing stock. But we have, when we purchase the property from the current owner, and while it's in under our ownership, we will record a 50-year affordability period. So in other words, these housing units that will be produced using our funds will have to be affordable for at a minimum 50 years. And the units must be at or below 60% of the annual median income, with 20% of those units up to 50% of AMI for rentals and 80% for home ownership. For us, focusing on what is the greatest need, we see that the greatest need for housing is to provide housing units for vulnerable populations, whether they are homeless veterans, homeless families, survivors of domestic violence, individuals who are aging out of the foster care system. So we're always in talks about creating not just units that are at very low or moderately low AMI, but also they come with supportive services as well for specific populations. And then we have our housing implementation fund. So the name's a little misleading. It's really, and people generally call it our infrastructure funding. These funds are eligible, again, it would be applied through the applications to a developer, but these funds are actually to reimburse the municipality where the affordable housing development will take place, because it'll cover different types of infrastructure projects that happen on the outside of the building's envelope, right? So any type of work that has to do with sidewalks, water connection, sewer connection, landscape, parking, curbing, any type of work that needs to be done outside of the exterior of the building. I think it's up to a quarter of a mile. That can be, we can apply housing implementation funds for that. So in essence, the municipality will oversee the bidding process, they will oversee the work, and then we reimburse the municipality for the work that's being done. And again, it's also a 50-year affordability period. Some developers will decide to apply for both funds at the same time. Some will just apply for one, depending on the need and what work needs to be done as well. And then I talked a little bit about the funds that we received from HUD. And one of them, it's part of our community development block grant program. Essentially, we receive, I'm sure some of you may have heard of CDBG, which is Community Development Block Grants. We also receive Emergency Solutions Grant, which are primarily seen as eviction prevention funding that goes to nonprofits to assist individuals or households that are facing eviction because of non-payment and rent or utilities. So through an RFP process, we will fund nonprofits for that to provide that type of service. And then the third type of program that we get from HUD is our home funds. We use these funds for as a gap filler and essentially for smaller scale affordable housing units. So from 12 units or less. And again, it's a 50-year affordability period. And these units, if they're for rental, have to be at 60% of AMI, for home ownership at 80% of AMI. And these funds are only available to the municipalities that are members of the Urban County Consortium. Right now, there are 31 municipalities, primarily towns and villages throughout the county and one city, the city of Peekskill, that belong to the Urban County Consortium. So any type of affordable housing development that is being done in those municipalities, the developer can come and essentially, it's not really an application, it's more of a meeting to determine what the need is and whether or not we have availability funds. We get approximately $1 million each year to provide this type of service for home supportive, home funding, but we also receive about close to $5 million for CDBG and ESG combined. On the 17th, which was yesterday, we launched our new affordable housing funding program, which is officially called the Westchester Affordable Housing Investment Fund 2. Everybody would probably know it more as a Flex Fund 2. This is an initiative of $25 million that was allocated in this year's capital budget by the county executive and approved by the Board of Legislators to continue with the goal that the original Flex funds had. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the original Flex Fund. It was essentially $90 million that we reserved from ARPA funds to act as a gap filler for construction projects that were ready to hit the ground for construction. However, they were facing some sort of funding gap that did not allow them to move forward. So we were able to open up an application portal. We received about 30 applications. Of those, we funded 15. And in essence, those represented about 1,250 units, of which 80% of them are either under construction or have been completed. So this was a very easy way to get money out the door to make sure that new affordable housing stock or preservation of affordable housing stock was in motion. So this fund is kind of a continuation of that. I wish it was $90 million. It's not, it's only 25 million. But in essence, we are working in the same type of process as we had with the original one. There is, unlike the other two funds that I just spoke about, which are on a rolling basis, so you can apply at any time that you think your project is ready. This one's more competitive because it has a specific date for when the applications open and close. So it opened June 17th, it'll close on the 21st. We will be reviewing these applications during the third and fourth quarter, actually the fourth quarter of 2026, and disbursements will begin the first quarter of 2027. We focus a lot on project readiness. We understand that to make some of these developments work, there is funding that developers need from other entities, but we have to move forward with the development of housing. And we have identified obviously parameters that we want developers to follow so that we can get going with construction. Again, you can see some of the details on the slide, and there's more information also on our website. These will go for, to produce rental units at 65% of AMI or below, and ownership at 80% of AMI or below, but it's really at 80%. This was a difference from the original Flex Fund, which we only allowed for 65% of AMI or below, and we knew that it needed to be a higher income for home ownership units. So if because of time, I have a couple more slides to move into, but I'll be more than happy to answer any other questions if you have pertaining to this particular funding program. And coming soon, so another initiative that is included in our current capital budget, which we hope to announce in July, will be the affordable housing rehab and preservation. Throughout my presentation, I've been talking about new development, but also we can't forget preservation. That's really important. It's really important to me, having grown up in housing, which could certainly have used some rehabilitation funding to make it safer for my family and I. So that is really crucial for me. And I'm glad that the county executive again added $1 million for this. Again, this will also be an specific application round. We want to do it, make it competitive because we want to see what's out there. We want to see which projects we can support based on the funding that we have, but also based on the need that we see. So more to come, but essentially it'll fund capital improvement projects. This particular funding is for current affordable housing developments that have received subsidies in the past, whether from the county or the state or the feds, and now are in need of additional funding to do upgrades, much needed upgrades. The funding will go for capital improvements, so roofs, HVAC, elevators, common areas, as opposed to specific units. Not to say that we don't think doing specific units is important, but based on the funding that we have and the fact that this is an initiative, we're going to see what comes out of this. And then last but not least, just a reminder that we also have another type of preservation funding is our Let's Save Westchester. On your tables, you should have more information about the program requirements and eligibility. Essentially, these are funding to mitigate Let's Save in old housing, right? Housing that was built before 1978. We give priority to units with children under 6 years of age or pregnant women. Last year, we received $7 million, which is our new funding round for our new phase of Let's Save Westchester. Last year, we were able to, with our former funding, because the funding amounts that we received will last for several years. The last time we received funds from HUD was in 2022. In 2025 alone, though, we were able to assist 34 properties, of which it was made up of 73 units at $55,000 per unit. So if anybody's interested in more information, please let us know. Right now, we're working on I think a 50-unit building in Yonkers. We're very excited about that, working closely with the landlords, the owners, the managers, just to make sure that everything gets done correctly. And then just a brief mention of, again, I talked a little bit about our CDBG program, and while a lot of the funding that we received, for example, it's $4.5 million for fiscal year 2026, will go for municipalities and their infrastructure programs, whether it's parks, playgrounds, streetscapes, sidewalks. We also set aside some amounts. In this case, it's $834,000 for housing activities. And what falls under housing activities? Property improvement. So if you have any properties in the 31 municipalities, if you see the map in the middle, the areas that are shaded yellow, talk to us. We have a 3-year funding round that begins in 28, but we start receiving applications in 2027. We will have more information. We'll share it with Tim so he can share with all the members about what the funding requires and how to go about applying. But I wanted to make sure that everybody knew about the programs that we have. And that's it for me. Thank you so much.
So we have time for two very, very quick questions. I'm gonna have to repeat the question, so keep your question short so that the folks on YouTube Live can hear it. Jeff?
Thanks for your presentation. I have a question. I own a mixed building, 300 units. It's got 250 of fair market. It was affordable housing converted into free market. But there's 50 units in it that are subsidized as Section 8. Would that possibly qualify for that affordable housing fund?
Yep, when we open it up, you're more than welcome to apply.
How do I get more information about that?
I can give you my card, or I can, whenever we have these announcements, we'll share it with you also.
I was trying to take a picture, but you went to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, I'll follow up with you after.
When the program's out, we're gonna blast information up the wazoo. Alana, and then we'll move on.
Just a quick question. So part of what I do is I chair the Apartment Owners Advisory Council. And right now we're in the middle of the rent guidelines. Decision's gonna be held for Monday. Tenant reps, as well as some local, political people from County Board of Legs, they're sitting there saying, on this LTAP program, you landlord, property owner have access to $10 million, and it's a means for negotiating against us when it comes to rent guidelines. If you could help us with a bit of clarity on that, if not tonight, or I know it's coming soon. My understanding when it first came out, it was 8 units and under. Most of my rent stabilized units don't qualify then. So basically, if we even qualify at all for this type of program.
So what you're referring to, LTAP, was an old program that we had. Again, that was created also initially with ARPA funds, which allowed to assist small property owners, right? And for us, smaller property owners were folks that have a property of 8 units or less. They can get up to $25,000 for rehab, etc. We did that. We did that program. We used the money that was allocated. We had an LTAP 2 for public housing authorities, which was $7 million. We funded those projects. We're done, and now we're into the 10 million for rehab. And it's an initiative that hopefully will grow into additional funding. Right now, as we are in the process of designing this program, we are taking into consideration also providing assistance to small landlords. There has to be a better name for it, but for the sake of this discussion, it's for 8 units or less. But we want to make sure that there's different options, right? Because not everybody fits the same when it comes to eligibility. There are different types of needs and different types of landlords and different types of properties.
Just to piggyback off that, most of the rent stabilized landlords in the room, we won't qualify for this program, period. Because we have more than 8 units.
Right. So like, for example, for the 10 million, we're not giving any type of specific unit. Correct. You can have 150 units and you can apply. So we wanted to build in that flexibility again, because we know that there are different types of housing units that need help.
Thank you so much. All right, shifting gears, our next speaker, Jim Mazzano, is definitely no stranger to BRI. He is currently the Westchester County Consumer Protection Director. Prior to that, he was elected to 11 terms, my word, on the Westchester County Board of Legislators and represented the city of New Rochelle and the town of Pelham. He has practiced law for over 30 years and served in the United States Marine Corps from 1984 to 1988. Thank you for your service. So let's please give a warm welcome to the Director of Consumer Protection, Jim Mazzano.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. How you doing tonight?
Hi.
So, yes, Blanca and I are on the same floor, and we really need to schedule a lunch every now and then. But we did have a fun time today because the county executive gave all the department heads the permission to set up a watch room for the next parade. So we did do that today, and we're very happy about that. So I think we're all happy about the next All right, so the one thing I want to ask, does everybody have the yellow sheet? Everybody got the yellow sheet in the room? Who doesn't have a yellow sheet? You can't leave without the yellow sheet. Telling you right, you don't want to leave without the yellow ones, guys. All right, we have more up here if you need one. And the reason is that I guarantee you, in the next few years, either you, family member, or friend is going to need the Consumer Protection Department. Because you're going to go to a store someday, and you'll be standing there with your 50% off coupon, or you'll be standing there with your warranty for your washer or dryer, and you're going to get into it at a store with somebody. It happens, right? You're going to get them to the cash register, and they're going to give you a hard time, and you're going to be frustrated, and you're not going to be happy because we're kind of like Ghostbusters. Who are you going to call? Consumer Protection, because we can help you. If you have a warranty that a store is not honoring, if you have if you go up with your 50% off coupon at the cash register, they don't honor it, you call us. And we will take your matter and we will intervene and try to, if you deserved it, we will get it for you. So that's why you need the yellow sheet, because I want you to be my friend after today. I don't want this to be just a one meeting here. You have the yellow sheet and you have all our contact information, phone, mail, website, social media, if you want to follow us, all our great posts we put up, because you're going to need us. So take the yellow sheet. Now, Tim wanted me to talk about how our office's dealings with contractors. So just so you know, there are 9,000 home improvement contractors in Westchester that we license. That's a lot. It's a bear. It's a lot of work. We do a full background check, includes criminal check, and where they have a lot of judgments, see if they have any problems that would make them a danger to go to anybody's home or take on the job. So it's half my staff works on the licensing and complaints against home improvement contractors. And it keeps us really busy. So we're going to talk about that tonight. Because Tim says that you're all going to know contractors that are going to need our department, or maybe hiring subcontractors. So, but I do want to say this. That's why I give the yellow sheet. We're still user friendly, so you don't have to use email. You you can call us. You can still pick up the phone and call our department if you have a question. If you're hiring a sub, if you're a contractor hiring a sub, you want to know if the sub is licensed, and you don't want to wait for a call, but you wait for like an email reply. You can call us. If you got a job, you're dealing with a local government to get permits, you can call us, and the numbers are all there. Just to kind of put it in perspective, there's a lot of complaints against home improvement contractors. I don't think that's shocking news. All right, there's 9,000 of them. Not all of them are great. We have about 5,000 complaints filed in our office every year. 350 of them, the 400 are home improvement contractor related complaints. It keeps us really busy. But I also want to point out, and if you know anybody who's a contractor that's looking to make sure that they're properly licensed, we want them licensed. It's better for everyone if they're licensed. We have them in the database. They are communicating with our office. So we do. I always say we're not the district attorney, even though we are part of law enforcement, civil law enforcement. We're not the DA. We're not penal law. We're trying to get people to comply with the law, to follow the law. And I think that's an important distinction. So if you know, so with contractors, we even have a list called the renegade renovators. That's the contractors that we've tried to help and to get in compliance multiple times, and they failed to do so. Like, we caught them operating without a license. We fined them. We went after them, and then like 6 months later, they didn't get the license. We catch them again working out without a license. So we are pretty strict about licensing. It's something we don't play with. If you're a contractor in Westchester and you're not licensed, we're coming after you, because everybody else did it the right way. Everybody else paid their dues, got their background check, paid their fees. So we're very hard on people that we catch who are working without a license. However, if we catch them without a license, we always give them one fair chance to get licensed. We write tickets for not being licensed, but we'll reduce the tickets if they get their application in. Important to know. All right. So there's a ton of resources. The other thing, I have two things on the table. One is the yellow sheet, so you can contact us. And the other is our website, the front page of our website. So it's different than this page, but it's similar. So I'm basically going through this stuff. the resources on our website, for home improvement contractors. I also point out, when it comes to plumbers and electricians, that's for both home improvement and commercial. So, they're a little different. Our department fully handles home improvement contractors. There's a plumbing board and electrical board that makes the final decisions, relating to licensing for electricians and plumber because they're trades, and it's frankly harder. There's more requirements to be a plumber or electrician, and you have to take a test. So it's a little bit different. So let me go through what contractors can do on our website, all right? And the website is in the handout has our right on top, like the yellow sheet, our address, our web address. All right, so one thing we started recently is with home improvement contractors. Sometimes we've tried to move them, but I think it's better for them and for us that they try to contact us by phone or email. But some still want to come into the office. We were more active before COVID, then we closed for COVID. We kind of changed our system. So contractors can come in and meet with us. They want to discuss problems with their license. They just have to schedule an appointment. As you'll see on the sheet I handed out, the first thing there is schedule an appointment. So somebody needs an appointment with our office for anything, frankly, just not just contractors, but there it is. Everybody's looking at this sheet. This is the sheet I'm talking about. On the top line says schedule an appointment. Next, the next thing I want to point out, all these are the links that are right on the front page of our website. Tips on how to select a contractor, how to hire a home improvement contractor. Very helpful. If you know someone that's hiring a home improvement contractor and they're confused, it's the first time they ever did it, they should go there. We've put all the information we could find to help someone properly hire a home improvement contractor. So recommend that to your family and friends. If they're hiring a contractor and they have questions, start with these two links. I'm telling you, they're helpful. Just so you know, I have a house in North Carolina. I just had to get repairs in the house in North Carolina. I went to the website, even though I have this job, to double check what the advice was to hire a contractor. Okay. Another thing that we brought in since I've become director over the last 9 years is you'll see there's a link for home improvement sample contract. It was making me crazy handling our administrative law cases against contractors who didn't follow both state and county law for the requirements in a home improvement contract. They're there, both in state and county law, there's requirements. And then we write these tickets. I kind of felt bad for the guys because they didn't really know the state and county law. So even though we do tell them when they're getting their license, but they miss that. So what I do is I drafted a home improvement contract. I'm an attorney as well. So with the county attorneys, I drafted a sample home improvement contract. If you know a home improvement contractor, make sure they're using that. It's going to keep them out of trouble because these guys like go online and get, they go to one of these websites, sample home improvement contract. Well, it doesn't meet Westchester County and state law. If they follow this contract, they won't get tickets. So please, that's a good thing for you to tell people, if you know contractors, to use our sample contract. If you want to check the background of a contractor, if you had a problem with a contractor, you want to know more about them, you can file a freedom of information request with our office to check the background of the company. There's a link for that. You also may want to check if there's outstanding judgments or liens against the contractor. We have a link there to OCA, where all the court cases are, so you can see if there's any judgments against that company. All right, next link on our website. Like I said, we're really strict about licensing. It's the one thing we don't play games with. We want everybody licensed. If you're not, we're coming after you. And then we have this renegade renovator list. So if you want to know the ones you should never, ever, ever hire, the renegade renovators, they're on our website, right on the link on the front page. All right. We have the licensing law, a link on our front page, right there. The licensing law. So if someone wants to become a home improvement contractor, they can read the law. Very helpful. So we have the link right on there. We also have the application to become a home improvement contractor in both English and Spanish. And if someone needs a different language, we could try to help them with that. They just have to call us. So also we have links for the application. And then when you go into the application, it also has a sheet to help you fill out the application to properly apply to become a home improvement contractor. And that's really helpful because almost all the questions are answered there. And I also mentioned we have links for plumbers, electricians, what I recommend with the plumbers, electricians, because it's a more detailed process, and you have to go in front of these boards, not just our department. You should probably call, I know someone here tonight told me that they interacted with this person, so they'll nod their head, yes. You should call our office. We have a really good senior inspector that deals with the trades licensing for plumbers, electricians. Any questions with them, just call our office. His name is John McGlinchey, and he's very good. All right? So that's all I have for you today. I just want to say this. Don't be shy. You may need our help. That's why you have the yellow sheet. And spread the word. You have friends and family that are interacting all the time in stores, with contractors, and sometimes one stupid phone call to our office could save them a lot of heartache at the beginning. That's my recommendation to you. All right. So thank you so much. It's nice to chat.
Does anyone have a quick clarifying question for Jim? Before we move on to our final presenter, here we go.
Yeah, designers.
Oh, we got a contract over now.
That's all the time we have. Like, what a dollar complaint.
I don't know if they were licensed. Let's check it out. You know, what kind of gauge guys? Yes.
So designers are not home improvement contractors, but because they're the ones coming in and saying, you know, we're gonna remove that wall and whatever, before the contractor comes and identifies it, how do we?
Are you a designer?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, we've had trouble with designers. I'll tell you why.
Sure.
We've had designers that kind of stay in their lane, you know, and then we got designers that thought they were contractors. So it's not easy to navigate. We've actually had a really hard time in this area, but I guess it comes down to when the designer is like telling people what to do at the workplace, at the site, they've crossed the line, and now they're a contractor. And we have go pretty harsh ones. A couple of them, they come in hard with their lawyer, and then they're a little bit of surprise because the law is pretty clear. Like if someone's at a job site of a home improvement contractor and telling workers what to do, you're no longer a designer. You've crossed the line to be a contractor. So if anybody has any questions, they can call us because it is a little bit of a tricky field.
Thank you.
Sure. Anything else? Yes, sir.
I mean, along those same lines, you get a lot of contractors that claim they're sole proprietors and they don't require workers' comp because they have a waiver, but then they show up with, you know, their cousin and their friend, and, you know, they've got employees, they might be paying them cash, but they don't have workers' comp insurance. Is that anything that?
So when we do the background check, we ask them for all their workers' comp info. So we check that out right at the start. But sometimes along the way, we do that exact scenario you said. They said they have a waiver, and then we find out they had workers there. So sometimes we catch them. Someone makes a complaint against them, then we catch that too. It's not the easiest. Look, it's hard for us to always catch the bad guys. You know, there's a lot of work going on in Westchester at once. So we're very happy when someone files a complaint with us, so we can dive into it. My inspectors all go, just so you know, all my inspectors, I have about 15 of them. They all go to the police academy. They just don't deal with weapons, but they go for all because they write tickets. And we do administrative law. We have hearings and everything. So they're pretty well trained, and they're very good at what some of them have been doing it for 20, 30 years. So we do navigate those things, but it's really helpful to have the complaint in our office.
Yeah.
There's attorneys in this room, right? A few attorneys. Let me just say this before I close. You know, I'm an attorney. I'm a sole practitioner here in Westchester, and I know sometimes someone calls you and says, "I'm fighting with my contractor. We're fighting over 5,000, 7,000." As attorneys, sometimes you're like, "I don't know if I'm going to take this. You know, the legal fees are going to be 5,000 to 7,000 real fast. I might not take this case." We should really tell them to file a complaint with us. I can tell you, I'm a member of the New Rochelle Bar, and I've told them this multiple times, and they all come and thank you. Because if we take a matter in when a homeowner is fighting with a contractor, and we get the settlement because the lawyer referred them to us, we make the lawyers look like a hero. So if you attorneys, definitely, if you have one of these small, you know, if it's 50 to 100,000, you might want to take it in damages, right? But if it's 5 to 10,000, you're not going to take it, send it to us. We do a full mediation. So when we get the complaint from the homeowner, there's settlement conferences, it's a full mediation. If that doesn't settle, we send it to administrative law judge. It's a pretty solid administrative law process, and the attorney can look very good if we get them a settlement. Little tidbit for the attorneys.
Sir, we do have to move on. We'll get to more Q and A at the end. Thank you so much, Rick. All right, on to our third and final presentation. If you are a regular listener to the Building and Realty Institute's podcast series hosted by our very own Associate Executive Director, Jeff Hanley, you will already recognize this person's voice. She's been on our show many a time, specifically on this topic to help share some information about this new program that is underway. But now we are privileged to have her in the flesh. So I want to give a very warm welcome to Leslie Liberatore, who will introduce herself. She's the Health Services Coordinator from working on lead poisoning issues with County Department of Health. Leslie.
Thank you for having me. And he introduced me. I'm the Health Services Coordinator for Westchester County Department of Health Childhood Lead Poisoning Prevention Program. So before I start about the rental registry, I always feel like it's important to give a little bit of background on lead. Lead poisoning is really still a big issue. So lead is one of the most scattered toxic metals in the world, and through our actions as a society, it's remained in the environment long after it's been removed from use through gasoline fumes, smelting, and renovations of older structures containing lead paint. Lead paint is still legally used on roadways and more than 90,000 bridges in the United States, which cause lead exposure when those are refurbished. So lead exposure is especially dangerous to children under 6 years of age because of their developing nervous systems and their hand-to-mouth behavior. Lead can affect a child's ability to learn, pay attention, and cause behavior problems. Most lead poisoning for children comes from digesting paint chips that has lead in it, or the lead dust that's created from peeling or chipping paint. Lead is also dangerous for pregnant women as it crosses the placenta and it can affect the fetus. Lead is stored in bone, and the bones of a developing fetus are very soft, so it is very readily absorbed. Lead exposure for pregnant women usually occurs due to ingestion of non-food items or something we call pica behavior. Lead exposure for pregnant women usually can cause spontaneous abortion, low birth weight, and high blood pressure for the pregnant woman. I think it's important to note that the effects of lead have been studied on every continent. And according to the World Health Organization, lead is responsible for 30% of the global burden of intellectual disabilities, 4.6% of the global burden of cardiovascular disease, and 3% of the global burden of chronic kidney disease. In Westchester County, we follow 250 lead poisoned children. And the problems that occur from lead exposure are irreversible, but they are 100% preventable. So the common sources of lead poisoning, windows and porches in older homes built before 1980 are the biggest source of lead in older homes. Chipping or peeling paint cause a lead dust that falls onto the floor or in the window trough, blows into the house, lands on the floor, a child crawls through it, puts their hands in their mouth, and they have a lead exposure. Family pets can bring lead dust in from outside, causing exposure to children. And if renovations are not done properly, lead exposure can occur. Soil around homes usually contain, and we call it the drip line, around the home can contain lead. All soil has lead in it. It's a question if it's actionable or not. There's a lot of other things in everyday life that cause lead. I will mention a couple of them. I won't go through all of them. But jewelry that's not 100% gold or silver, food or spices from out of the country or that are purchased in ethnic markets. They add lead to these spices for color and for weight. Pottery or tableware from out of the country, even if it's purchased here and it's got that nice made in Mexico stamp, it's likely lead. Makeup from out of the country, batteries are a big exposure for lead for children. Remote control, they love it. They put that remote control in their mouth. Saliva gets in and comes back out. They have a lead exposure. I think it's important to note that we have found lead in hot sauces like chamoy, botanera, and Valentina sauce. I'm sorry. I did bring it to agriculture and markets in New York State, and they said the per serving content is not high enough
to remove it from the shelves, but I don't know anyone that only has a teaspoon of chamoy sauce. So I think that, it's important to mention that. So Westchester County, Department of Health, we act on all children with lead levels of 5 or above. We provide education and risk reduction to parents and families to try to identify the source of lead. The education is provided verbally, in writing by mail, and we email our lead prevention video that we made to every family that we talk to. We provide a nursing visit. We do a developmental assessment on the child. If there needs to be a referral to early intervention or to children with special needs, we do that as well. All families are made aware of the regional lead center at the Children's Hospital at Montefiore, and we make referrals there as necessary as well. Our environmental team performs a lead inspection of the home to identify any sources of lead or lead-based paint hazards, and we work with the property owner through completion of remediation. Homeowners are not required to let us into their homes because they own the home. However, when a tenant has a child that rents a property, we don't let them refuse. If they won't let us into their home, we ask the owner for a letter of access to get us into the property so that we can identify the source of lead poisoning. And we will do a preventative inspection for anybody in Westchester that asks us. However, we do make them aware if we find lead-based paint violations, they will be responsible to fix them. So when everybody's waiting for the New York State Rental Registry. So Public Health Law 1377, or the New York State Rental Registry Law, was passed in 2023. It's modeled after the Rochester, New York Rental Registry, which has seen a steep and steady decline in childhood blood lead levels over the past 2 decades. So we know it works. It's grant funded. It's in a 5-year cycle. Westchester got $6.8 million for the 5 years to implement this law. We sent out letters from the local health department in December. We received a list from New York State from Real Properties with homeowners and property managers with addresses. Unfortunately, a bunch of condos and co-ops ended up on our list. So when they do call, we do let them know that they are exempt. Co-ops and condominiums are not part of this. The law went into effect in November of 2025. There was a registration deadline that was supposed to be May 1st of this year, but they have extended that to December. So after December, the state said that we'll need to implement fines for people who have not registered. So the law involves 19 counties and 25 municipalities. In Westchester County, the zip codes of concern and that are involved in this law are 10701 and 10705 in Yonkers, 10801 in New Rochelle, and 10550 in Mount Vernon. These areas have historically had the highest lead levels in housing and the highest number of lead poisoned children. So the law states that any rental property built before 1980 with 2 or more units will need to have a lead inspection every 3 years and require a certificate of clearance from the health department. So Westchester County right now, our model that we're using is that property owners will need to hire a third-party inspection. There may be some exceptions to that. Not unlike other programs in New York State, the cart came before the horse. The law was passed. It was enacted in November of 2025. And next Wednesday, we're going to get the final procedures coming out from New York State. So we got the final regulations about a month ago. So we're just waiting for the final procedures to come out. So we're asking people, property owners, to hold off right now. Just get registered as you've been asked to. If you have any problems with registration, I have a team of people that can help with the registration. But we are working on helping people getting registered, and hopefully by next week, we're going to get this going and into action. Which leads me to the Leading in Lead Pilot Prevention Program, which is a grant funded through New York State and Homes and Community Renewal, or HCR. Westchester County's been awarded $5.4 million to remediate lead in Westchester. 80% of the money needs to be used in our 4 zip codes that I mentioned, but the other 20% of the money can be spent anywhere in Westchester. We started using this money in December of 2024. We did our first project, which started in January of 2025. And so far, we've done $1.5 million in renovation to help remediate lead in homes. We also prioritize homes with children and pregnant women. Unlike other grants available for lead, there's no income qualifications for this grant, but there are other qualifications that need to be met.
The property owner has to be up to date with mortgage payments, insurance, and, taxes. They must also agree to own the property for 5 years, as a lien will be placed on the property by New York State. If the property is sold, the lien is transferable, and the homeowner may be required to pay back some of the monies used for remediation, on a prorated basis. The owner cannot ask the tenants to leave because of lead, and they may not raise the rent more than 3% annually for 5 years. And there'll also be a yearly audit to make sure that the homeowner still owns the property. So again, prevention is the key with lead poisoning, and hopefully these measures will help decrease some of the number of lead poisoned children in Westchester County. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You've got questions, we've got answers. Ken Nelson.
I don't know how much time you have.
No, no, no.
I will mercilessly cut you.
Yeah, I will go up to.
One question is, you talked about retesting every 5 years. If you establish that there's no lead paint in the apartment, why do you have to test it every 5 years, every 3 years?
So that's a really great question. So
It's a thing that's on.
That's a great question. So the required inspection from New York State is a visual inspection. However, if a homeowner or property owner did a full renovation, they had a fire, they rebuilt, whatever, you can have a surface by surface XRF inspection, or if you're a rebuild, you can prove that through C of Os and building permits, and then you'd be exempt forever going forward. If you have XRF inspections, surface by surface XRF inspections, and there's no lead-based paint, then you'll be exempt as well. So again, the actual procedures for those, I'm not gonna know until next Wednesday, whether it has to be a level of actually 0, or if it's below 1, which is the standard right now for what we call a lead-based paint hazard, which they're likely changing to 0.5 to follow New York City.
But what if we have a test, we identify something that we strip the wood in the cases where it's necessary, because as the inspector told us, because we were working on one, it says it's usually not the whole place, it's like here and here, and you strip it and he inspects it and then says you're lead free. Do we still have to do the 3, and then we do a white test for lead, and we have all this documentation. Does that exclude having to do this every 3 years?
I believe that it will, but you cannot quote me on that right now until I get these final rules next Wednesday. And I will give you my business card, and you can call me next Thursday, and I will be more than happy to tell you, anything that I find out next Wednesday.
Follow-up question
Sure.
is, I've been doing lead our buildings for 30, 40 years. I used to work with a fellow named Stephen Eschweiler.
Sure.
Lead paint.
Who's retired?
Yes, I know he's retired. And we have all these reports documenting what we did, and final report in handwritten reports from this department. Now, and so then they said, okay, it's acceptable to rent. And we file that on the legislative registry, and does that exempt us from further tests?
So unless it's a surface by surface XRF report with complete abatement, meaning there is no longer any lead, there couldn't be a stabilization of this area, but immediate abatement of this area, then no, it does not exempt you. And you have to remember, these are visual inspections that we're coming in to do. So as a property owner, if you maintain your properties and there's no visual lead-based paint hazards, at the time that the inspection is done and dust wipes pass, you'll pass for the 3 years.
Then you have
So we're gonna get some other folks in the mix, Jeff Stillman and then Chris.
Yeah, I'd just like to give a big compliment to Bassano and the board. I had some difficulty with some licensing, and They were very helpful in assisting us in getting it done, and they're very responsive, very attentive, and give a first-hand experience with them and show how well they've been really helping.
Thank you.
Well,
Oh, that was an easy one. Chris?
In terms of lead abatement, is simply painting over it? I mean, if it's not peeling, it's painted over, it's not removed, it's just covered, is that?
So a lead-based paint hazard is, you could have this wall that tests very high if you put an XRF machine on it. But if it's completely intact, it's not a hazard. So the things that we're looking for are in a visual inspection are chipping and peeling paint. And if you think about the accessible surfaces to a child, right? A windowsill, you see a chipping windowsill, or we walk in and see a chipped windowsill with bite marks in it. That's going to need to be abated. So there's certain areas that need to be abated, and stabilization is if there's a wall with chipping paint, because it's visual, you will need to just paint that.
When you say abatement, is that some professional coming in and removing it or just painting it over?
If depending on what the violation is, it's going to have to be someone who's certified. Because when you start to disturb lead paint, you cause more of a problem.
All right, we're gonna go Nami, Jason, and then Alana, and then I'll swing back. I'll get to everybody.
So I've been confused by the wording of the law. On the one hand, you said very explicitly that co-ops and condos are exempt from this law. On the other hand, it talks about any kind of rental property, right? So in co-ops, each co-op has its own rule, like 20% can be rented out, and there are. So then does the law apply to those co-ops or not?
So the way the state has explained it to me is, and I know when you own a co-op, you don't own the physical, you own shares. But you own those shares to unit 2A, and you are renting it out. So that's one unit. And if unit 3A is rented out, somebody else owns that. So it's the state that is saying this, that it's not co-ops and condos. So even if you owned a condo and you rented it out, it's not subject to this law.
So bottom line, if my area falls in one of those 4 zip codes and it's a co-op building, regardless, we are exempt.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Jason, Alana, and then the gentleman
Yeah,
here.
just a quick point of information relative to the lead liability. I mean, no one wants to see a child poisoned, but sometimes it happens. And almost all apartment building insurance liability policies and umbrella policies exclude lead liabilities. So you need to have a separate like environmental pollution policy for that.
Oh, more bigness. All right, Alana, and then they'll swing back.
I don't know if there's a way, so a lot of my smaller landlords have mortgages. And then obviously if they have an issue, they want to take advantage of the funding. But the issue is that if you're leaning the building, that initial mortgage is gonna trigger a now due clause. So problem, I don't know if there's a way to take that back to the state. Is what you're very meant to do, and I applaud that. If I have a mortgage, may cause me a problem because I can't have a lien against my property. It'll trigger a now due.
And I believe the reason that they're doing that is they don't want people to take advantage of $40,000 a unit, fix up their 4-family house, turn around and sell it for a big profit. And the state sent out that kind of money and the homeowner has profited from that. So they have to,
Yeah, I get it.
I can take it back to the state, I can speak to them.
Maybe they could tweak it and create, because the problem is buildings are not gonna be able to take advantage of this if they have a mortgage. Because it'll like, when I'm not talking about.
Like a mechanics.
Right, they won't let us do it. So I'm talking like 20 family, this or that. The mortgage will be called in. So I don't know if there's a way to tweak it.
What you might want to suggest is to go back to the state and tell them to make the person who's taking the money out, personally sharing them.
Possible,
Instead of the property, put it on the person.
possible.
And that might.
They would have to pay it back.
Yeah, okay, that.
Well, then if, when you look at it that way, if you look at a unit that has a building that has 20 units in it, if it's $40,000 a unit, then that property owner is on the hook for a lot of money.
But if they don't have the money, they're gonna take advantage.
So, well, yes and no. So, and to add one thing, it does include common areas and exterior.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Gentlemen at this table.
Never mind, he answered.
Oh, all right. I saw a hand here. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, for the affordable housing rehabilitation support, really excited to hear about that. I'm curious, well, I guess first it'll answer my question if I'm able to see the slides afterwards. So are the slides gonna be shared after the presentation? I don't know if that's.
Yeah, we can email them out to everybody who registered.
Okay, so that's number one. And then, is there, ability through that funding to support with health and safety improvements like mold, asbestos remediation? That's something we run into a lot with affordable housing, so.
Yeah, I mean, we want to make sure that the work that's being done will benefit everybody who's living there.
Wonderful, thank you.
Maybe.
Yes.
One question, maybe.
Not a question after all, eh?
Well, I'm coming back because I was thinking that if one of the biggest problems is that, like you said, when you have buildings and you run into the problem of a lead situation and you end with lead suit, it can be very expensive that the insurance companies do not cover. Seems to me that maybe this organization can lobby the state or whatever, that they can try to get some kind of insurance. This is really big.
There's insurance available. It just doesn't come in your building code. It's separate.
So there is?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you can buy insurance. That's the separate.
And over here.
Okay, so as a realtor, I know that a lot of homeowners don't know the law. How are you doing outreach? How is the message getting delivered?
Guessing that's for me.
Yes.
So I have encountered a lot of homeowners along the way who are very upset because they signed a lead disclosure paper when they bought their house 30 years ago, and now they found out there's lead. So we explained to them that the paper that they've signed and that the seller signed to them is just saying that they didn't know there was lead. And I have to say, probably, and I'm gonna be maybe a little generous here, that about 90% of people who sign that really don't know there's lead. I was one of them. I sold a house that now I know is laden in lead because I checked my children's lead levels from all of our DIY, and my kids' lead levels were high. So a lot of them don't know it, but then the seller, I would like in my retirement to lobby New York State that every single inspection that happens for a new homeowner includes a lead inspection. That is what I'm going to do when I retire. And I know that there's legislation that's been presented to the state. It's been through one house. I don't think it's gotten very far. But that's one of the things they do. We've had people call us and ask us if we will come and do a lead inspection when they're buying a house, and the realtor and the seller won't let them do it. So right, it's hard. So I can't really answer your question, but we do try to inform as many people as I go out and I educate. I speak at a lot of things. Told my own kids, buying a house built before 1978 and they don't have new windows, don't buy the house. So, but I know a lot of realtors aren't giving that information out either. They're not giving information about lead because they've told me they're not. So that's part of the Realty Association too. I've tried to get in and speak to them as well.
So we have time for 2 more questions, both at this table.
A really quick one, sorry, because I'm reading the slide. On the affordable housing we have, it says properties that have received subsidies in the past. If I haven't, does that mean I'm excluded? That was the last line, unless my eyes are bad, I stopped my glass.
That's what I hope you know. That's what we are designing in terms of this program, but I would suggest apply. Just never know.
Okay, but basically the ones that are gonna get priority are the ones that have gotten funding in the past.
Yes, because in essence, they already have a specific affordability period that's tied to them.
Okay,
And one of the goals is to extend that affordability. Yeah,
thank you very much.
sure.
And Ken Nelson, final question.
Contractors. It seems to me that the guidance is that we need to use contractors outside contractors to do it. In the past, but we've been doing this for a long time, and we took a course. It was like a 2-day course for our team people in the organization. Basically, can you recommend? Are there courses that we can take that basically say that we can do it in-house?
So there's RRP certification that you can take.
Yeah.
And I believe that And again, I will know more next week, and I'm more than happy to take your number and call you next Thursday. And try to answer all your questions, but right now they want, if more than certain square feet of lead is being disturbed, it has to be done by a lead abatement contractor.
But can we, basically take courses and basically be a lead paint contractor for our own? for our-
I think you can, but I will get that answer for you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So one more time, a big round of applause for our presenter tonight. A lot of their information is still at the tables. Please take copies of it home. As just mentioned, we will send out the slide deck to folks who registered for tonight. And of course, these guys are all accessible on the Westchester County website, so you can follow them up individually as well. So I just want to say again, please fill out the post-program surveys. Please keep watching your inbox because new events from the BRI are being announced all the time. And everyone drive safely tonight. Thanks so much.
One thing, hold it. Everybody looking for this QR.
He found it. He gets a gold star, and in fact, there's a gold star.